When I first came across this story, it surprised me in two big ways. First, it significantly challenged my understanding of who the heroes and enemies in the Shahnameh are. Second, it's a relatively short scene, despite involving one of the most radical acts of moral courage from a character who's barely known by anyone, so I felt it deserved more attention. This is the story of a man named Aghriras, who arrives right at the moment we last left off in the story. Aghriras is from the land of Turan, and the brother of Prince Afrasiyab, who is currently leading an invasion of Iran. Aghriras and Afrasiyab have the same father, King Pashang, and are both direct descendants of Tur himself, for whom the land of Turan was named. So it stands to reason that Aghriras, like Afrasiyab, is a sworn nemesis of Iran. After all, as I've stated many times in this podcast, Turan is the other nation, and by default distrusted by all Iranians. The rivalry runs deep. At the same time, we have to remember that the kingdom of Turan was created in the shadow of Tur murdering his own brother Iraj all those generations ago. But coming across this story actually made me see Tur's fratricide in a new light. Maybe it wasn't just greed or jealousy that compelled Tur to commit that heinous crime, but something even more unbearable: Iraj's moral courage. When we arrive at the end of this episode, you'll understand why this reframing is important. Because together, we're about to discover that one of the bravest allies of the Iranian nation was not an Iranian hero, but a Turanian prince who dared challenge his ruthless brother, Aghriras the Merciful. We last left off with Afrasiyab killing Iran's king, Nozar, in a most vicious and humiliating manner. It's a shocking moment, and news will soon reach Zal, the Iranian hero in Zabulistan, that the king has fallen. But right now, there's a more urgent matter. 1,200 Iranian noble warriors, who were captured along with King Nozar, now face imminent execution by Afrasiyab. The prisoners are brought forward in shame, and Afrasiyab prepares to have them all slain. But before he can give the order, Afrasiyab's brother, Aghriras, intervenes with an impassioned plea for mercy and restraint. "My brother, don't kill these prisoners the way you've killed their king. These men may have been warrior enemies once, but look at them now. They're mere prisoners, helpless and unarmed. To kill them now when they pose no threat is beneath you. Show them mercy and spare their lives. That is what great kings do. Let me take command of them. I will keep them well guarded in prison, which will teach them submission more effectively. But let's not shed more blood now that the Iranian king is dead." Afrasiyab, persuaded by Aghriras's passionate insistence, acquiesces and decides to spare the 1,200 Iranian soldiers' lives and orders them to be transferred to a prison in the city of Sari, which is just next to the capital city of Amul. But the mercy ends there, because immediately after, Afrasiyab continues forward with his invasion and leads the Turanian army south to the city of Rey, where he sets up his own new throne in Nozar's place and asserts himself as Iran's new ruler, bent on vengeance and violence, leaving Aghriras in charge of the north. Now, with Afrasiyab publicly sitting unchallenged on the throne, news finally reaches the rest of the kingdom that King Nozar is dead, beheaded in disgrace by the Turanian invader. The whole kingdom, especially Nozar's sons, Gostaham and Tus, weep in pain and shriek with panic, clawing at their own faces and ripping out their hair in despair. With no one left to turn to, the people look to the only hero they can trust, Zal of Zabulistan. They tell the white-haired hero about King Nozar's demise and beg him to lead an army to avenge the fallen king. Zal becomes completely broken by the tragic news and joins the people in rageful mourning. Then he channels his sorrow into action and announces through tears streaming down his face, "In the name of King Nozar and in service to Almighty God, in faith and duty I pledge that my sword shall not be sheathed until we have our vengeance. It's true that death awaits us all, but now is not the time for rest. Iranians, we march." The news of the Iranian army's newfound resolve, in turn, reaches the 1,200 prisoners being kept by Afrasiyab's forces in Sari. But rather than make them happy, it actually terrifies them, because they know that Afrasiyab only spared their lives as long as they didn't pose a threat. But now that the Iranians are rising, and Afrasiyab's rage may get provoked, the prisoners lose sleep and can't eat out of sheer panic for their fate. So they turn to the one man who's shown them kindness thus far, and who may hold the key to saving their lives once again. Aghriras. "Merciful Prince of Turan," praise the imprisoned soldiers, "it's by your grace that we are alive today, and we humbly bow to you as servants. But please hear our cry. A great force of Iranians led by Zal marches to our rescue. Among them are mighty warriors who will not surrender Iran to Afrasiyab. The moment your brother sees their swords, he will turn his fury to us and finish the lives you risked so much to spare. If any wisdom or grace in God is left in you, please set us free now so that we can flee and stand a chance at survival." And Aghriras, to everyone's surprise, doesn't hesitate in his response. "My brother is Ahriman the devil in human form. He will punish any such betrayal with the cruelest of violence. You're asking me to risk certain death at his hands. And yet, I know what honor demands of me, and I am prepared to face the consequences. If the mighty Zal is really coming here, then the best chance you have at survival is for me to deliver you to him myself. I will evacuate our forces and refuse to fight, even if my own brother and people see me as a traitor." Receiving this reply, the Iranian soldiers bow to the ground in full praise of Aghriras and send a messenger from Sari to Zal, saying, "The wise Aghriras of Turan is our friend. God has shown us mercy." They convey the details of Aghriras's plan. Zal is to send his force to meet Aghriras's in Amul. From there, Aghriras will surrender to them and evacuate, leaving the prison in Sari unguarded. Zal receives the message and his heart swells with joy and admiration for the brave Aghriras's honor. He appoints a fierce warrior named Kishvad to the task and sets the plan into motion. Kishvad arrives in Amul, and just as agreed, the Turanian Aghriras surrenders and evacuates his forces. Kishvad finds the key to the Sari prison and frees all 1,200 soldiers captured within. They assemble enough horses to all ride out together, all the way from the north back south to safety in Zabul, to be reunited with Zal and the rest of the Iranian army. Thus, amidst all the tragedy and war and bloodshed, Iran finally gets a true moment of joy, victory, and relief with the homecoming of the 1,200 prisoners, who are greeted through tears by Zal and rewarded with praise and gold for their courage and service. But, as you might have guessed, that same joyous fate does not await the honorable Aghriras. Upon reaching his fearsome brother Afrasiyab in the new capital of Rey, Aghriras is forced to confront the consequences of his mercy. Seeing his brother arrive, Afrasiyab erupts with perplexed rage at what Aghriras was thinking in this unconscionable betrayal. "You talk of honor, my foolish brother," he shouts. "A true warrior's honor is proven in battle, not in diplomacy. A soldier looks to the strength of his sword, not his mind. You've proven yourself utterly useless to our army and our nation with your misguided tears and compassion. Poisoned sourness with sweet honey? What do you have to say for yourself, you traitor to the name of Tur?" And Aghriras, knowing full well that he is not getting out of this alive, says his parting words to Afrasiyab. "When one has the power to do harm, they must first fear God and stop themselves. A crown is worn by many, and none wear it forever." At first, Afrasiyab goes quiet, but then, soon after, perhaps in the same way Tur had become enraged by his brother Iraj's uncompromising virtue, so too does Afrasiyab's heart become consumed by fire. Here, Ferdowsi's own narration gives us a clue into what's happening by asking a deeply philosophical question. How does wisdom fit in the head of a demon? The answer, as we can all probably guess, is nothing short of chaotic violence. Afrasiyab, the ruthless Turanian invader, follows in his own ancestors' footstep by going mad as a trampling elephant. Blinded by demonic rage, he grabs his sword and executes Aghriras in a flash. And here, I'd like to return to where I began this episode, because now, having witnessed what Afrasiyab has just done to his own brother, I find myself looking back at Tur's fratricide with completely different eyes. All this time, I'd attributed Tur's murder of Iraj simply to greed or jealousy. But maybe what made Tur commit that fateful deed was the unbearable torture of being met with virtue he couldn't integrate into his own mind. This latest brotherly brawl has haunting echoes of generations past, and seeing that cycle repeated was a profound discovery for me. So ends the tragic tale of Aghriras the Merciful, a character who comes and goes like the blink of an eye relative to the Shahname's length, but who during his time stood up against his own brother's evil deeds, freed 1,200 nobles, gave Iran a new lease on life in the battle for survival, and made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of wisdom. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it or leave a review. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more Shahnameh Quest.